don't know how many of you been taking a look at this, but the Cleveland Browns are they're for real. They are for real. And it's hard for me to even utter those words when you have in the history of the NFL only two stinking franchises ever go 0-16 in a season. And Cleveland's one of them. The other one being that hapless organization in Detroit. But the Cleveland Browns, when you're at the bottom and you don't win a game, you're just like, Jesus, we have got to fix this. So they fire everybody and bring in a whole new crew, and then you sit back and look at the things that they've done. So this is what is set up for going forward for the Cleveland Browns right now. They have the first overall pick in the draft and the fourth overall pick in the draft. They have two picks in the top five to go with Myles Garrett and that defense. But listen to this. They have the number one highest paid offensive line in football with Joe Thomas and all those guys that we talked about last week. And then they have their foot on the gas. Like, look, we are starving for a championship, and I don't care what it takes. We're going to get this done. So yesterday or today, they traded for Tyrod Taylor. So now they have a quarterback. So I didn't know, they traded DeShone Kizer and they brought in Tyrod Taylor. So you say, you got to think about what they're going to do going forward. Can Tyrod Taylor carry this offense? Well, look at the other moves they got. They got Sammy Coates on there. They got Josh Gordon on there. They trade for Jarvis Landry. So you got three studs at receiver. The number one offensive line in the football. So they're gonna be able to protect and they're gonna be able to run block. So say you take the number one pick and take Saquon Barkley. You've got Tyrod Taylor, Saquon Barkley, three stud receivers, the best offensive line in football. That offense is stacked. And then you take the fourth pick and you start maybe Minkah Fitzpatrick out of Alabama. Wait a minute now. You get into the second and third rounds and you make good choices. All of a sudden, the Cleveland Browns are a threat. Now, the AFC North. Look what Cincinnati. It's over. They had a window. They missed their chance. Vontaze Burfict. For all of you that don't know who this is. If I could have been an NFL linebacker, I would have wanted to been Vontaze Burfict. He literally just blows people up. That's all he does now. He's done some dirty things on the side. I'm not going to say dirty. I'm going to say some things that I wouldn't personally do, but whatever. I'm not saying he's a dirty player. I love the passion he plays for, and he's just a banger, and I love that. I've always admired guys that just stick their head in there on every single play like that. So, but anyway, Cincinnati, nah. And Pittsburgh, I was a bit disappointed this week because if you remember correctly, a Spartan, Le'Veon Bell, said that if the Pittsburgh Steelers franchised him, he'd retire. Now that's like telling somebody, if you say that word one more time, I'm going to bust you in the mouth. And he says the word and you're like, wait a minute, you better not do that again. Nobody's listening to you after that. Le'Veon Bell said that if they franchised him this season, that he would retire from football. And he tried to strap him on and force his move. Well, Pittsburgh apparently wasn't buying it. And now he said he takes that back and he will play for the franchise tag. So I really don't know how that's going to go forward. So whatever. But anyway, Pittsburgh's window seems to be closing as well. So somebody's got to win that. Baltimore, I don't know. The Ravens are the Ravens. Joe Flacco's overpaid, and I don't know if they have anything to go for him. So it's quite possible. Maybe not this year. Maybe Pittsburgh has one more run at the North, and that's it. But I'm telling you what, the Cleveland Browns, mark my words, remember this. The Cleveland Browns are 1 to 2 years away from being a serious contender in the NFL. And you're like, man, how is it that this team can seem to reload? I mean, not reload because they've been awful for a long time, but so have the Detroit Lions. And they have not been able to figure it out. But somehow whoever's running the Cleveland Browns put this all together, and they're within, I'm going to say 24 games from it all starting to fit together. And of course it's going to matter how they draft and the type of players that they bring in, but the Cleveland Browns are set up, and they're set up for a long, long time. And I know the people in Ohio they're hungry, they're starving, you know, just like the people in Michigan. You know, we don't get a lot of championships, but I really believe that the Cleveland Browns, they've made some good moves, and I think that their time is coming where they're going to be contenders now. Whether they have the coaching staff and you know, the debacle in Atlanta with letting Tom Terrific come back and win that Super Bowl a couple years ago, you never know what's going to happen in game, and you need good coaching to make good decisions. But the Cleveland Browns, on paper, are beginning to have the start of a really good run for them. So I'm excited to see going forward what the Cleveland Browns are going to do. Now, you got to ask yourself, Detroit Lions fans, why can't we? You know, why can't we ever figure this out? And every year, these fans are loyal to this organization, and I'm telling you, geez, look down the street. This is a fellow 0-16 team. And the fans are like, man, we're going to hold on, but we're not holding on forever, so you better get it going. Well, ain't no sense of the Detroit Lions front office making no moves because, and I hate to sound harsh, but you people keep running out to these games and paying the money. What's their reason for making this decision, for spending the extra money? What's the reason? Why do we? Let's penny pinch. Let's not spend the money on a big free agent because we're selling out every game anyway. So you want a championship, or you're upset about the lack of championships in Detroit? Look no further than the man in the mirror, because it is John Q. Public that keeps paying these people and allowing them to just keep railroading you season after season. And until that happens, until the Detroit fans wake up and smell the roses, you're going to keep getting this. And just keep in mind, just look down the road. There's a fellow 0-16er that's about to be making a big splash in the NFL. So whatever. Now, I'm going to switch and go to Major League Baseball right now. I don't know, since the All-Star break last year, Derek Jeter, whom I was never a fan of, you know, he affiliated himself with, he went to college, he would have went to that, you know, JUCO in Ann Arbor, and, you know, and that's, you know, shout out. Ann Arbor is, in fact, a whore. So Derek Jeter he was affiliated with that, you know, first game of the Jim Harbaugh, and they had Tom Terrific and Jeter, and it was like, whatever, it's a failure. So they hire him on as the, you know, or he bought into the ownership, and they start making moves and things like this. And I don't know how many of you are familiar. They don't get a lot of airplay in Michigan, you know, but the Miami Marlins had a lot of talent down there, starting with Giancarlo Stanton, Marcell Ozuna, and Christian Yelich. That was their outfield. Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, and Giancarlo Stanton, which last year combined, these are their stats. Listen to these numbers. 114 home runs combined between the three of them. So you're talking about almost 40 apiece. Almost, like, what, 37 home runs apiece, and 337 RBIs. And you know what they did? Shipped all three of them out. And that clearly makes a lot of sense, because we want to cut cap space and build from the farm system. Brilliant. This is brilliant. This is the worst decision ever. And the Miami Marlins are going to be so bad this year. They're going to lose 100 games. So what would be the reason why a fan would go out and watch this? They're going to play 81 games at home, 81 games on the road. Of those 81 games at home, they are going to lose 60 of the 81 games. They're going to be 22. I'll give them 22 and 59 for the season. 22 and 59. 22 total home wins for a 6-month season. Get out of here. Who's paying for this stuff? That is what the University of Michigan does. They get in these leadership positions and they run the organization in the ground. You're like, what are you talking about? How do you make that comparison? Well, I'm going to tell you this. The term Michigan man and whatever douche came up with that idea, if you remember correctly, in 1990, the Detroit Tigers hired Bo Schembechler to run their organization. I have no idea what the reason for this was. if you look at Bo Schembechler's resume and all of the things that he's won and all the things he did in football, you'd say you are literally qualified as an assistant to the lead janitor at an elementary school. That's his qualifications. And somehow Tom Monahan thought, I should bring him in as president of operations for the Detroit Tigers. Jeez. So they bring him in, and 2 years later, well, the first thing he does when he gets in there is there's a beloved radio talk show, analyst for the Detroit Tigers named Ernie Harwell, and he was there for 40 plus years. He was there for a long time. He was a mainstay. People tune in to see what Ernie Harwell had to say, like the guy in Los Angeles that just retired. I mean, people had their own guy that they tuned into. The first thing that Bo Schembechler does is fire Ernie Harwell. You're like, you should be fired. What are you doing firing this guy? And then so Tom Monahan figured that out quickly and dismissed Bo Schembechler, and rightfully so, because he's not qualified. He wasn't qualified as a coach. He's not qualified as a front office person. He's just not qualified. And then they obviously bring Ernie Harwell back, and all's well that ends well. But this is what I say. You say, what is the background you have for this? I don't know anybody at the University of Michigan that ever done anything successfully. I don't know. Maybe they have. I don't know. But I've saw failure after failure after failure. You can go see Webb and the Ted Kaczynski and a whole lot of these trolls. They're just terrible. So, the fact that Derek Jeter's down there tinkering with 114 home runs and 337 RBIs is amazing to me. At the same time, the Detroit Tigers have Matty Matuk and Castellanos in the outfield. The Miami Marlins are giving up on Ozuna, Yelich, and Giancarlo Stanton, who any one of them would be welcome in Detroit, let alone all three. They would love it. And the fans would be eating this stuff up. And the Miami Marlins are just giving away talent. Like, they're not giving away. They're getting prospects, but I'm saying it's a process. And you got to build and do all. You got the people already. It's just ridiculous. You got a winning ticket in your pocket already, and you're still going out and playing it. But that's what the University of Michigan is, a disaster and a failure. So it is what it is. It's... and the Tigers, it took the Tigers 10 years to dig out of the hole that Bo Schembechler created when he was there. And you're like, well, you can look forward to that, Miami Marlins fans. That's what's coming. When you let a Michigan man start messing with rosters, only thing that's coming after that is failure. Like, they just stink. So, enough with them. Getting back to college basketball for a minute, I've never seen the tournament starts Tuesday unofficially, Thursday actually at noon. It's, every year for guys that are our age or gals too. The tournament started. We used to take off on tournament Thursday, take off school. Because Thursday and Friday our games they start at noon. Well, how the heck can you be sitting in class talking about anatomy when there's hoop games on? So we'd bounce, just take off, at lunch and not come back. So Thursday and Friday, so we had that long weekend. Well, now with phones and stuff, you don't have to do that. You can watch them from wherever, and you, excuse me, you can keep up with all the stats and stuff. But the tournament starts unofficially Tuesday night. So I'm gonna put a copy of the bracket for my Yahoo bracket on, for those of you that follow me on IG or Twitter. I'm going to put a copy of it on there, and you can go on and join in it. We don't have the budget to give a prize this year, but if enough of you tune in and subscribe to the shows, no telling, next year we might be able to scrounge up. Don't be shocked. I'm pretty sure I can come up with a way to come up with $25 or something, good gift certificate. So for the good people down at Unsportsmanlike Conduct. So get those brackets in as soon as possible. But I've never seen the field as open as it is this year. And